What's going on is policymakers again continue to have a dilemma on their hands. They don't want, of course, house prices to rise too sharply. That creates social unrest. It creates asset bubbles. It creates inflation. Yet what they're faced with is a slowing pace of growth here in the Chinese economy. And if you tighten too hard, that some say they are doing, that could choke off this very fragile economic recovery that's going on in China, if it is indeed a recovery. We've been having a slowing pace of economic growth, slowing indicators month over month as well. Now, new home prices last month rose in 68 out of 70 cities tracked by the government here. Year over year, Guangzhou saw the sharpest gains, 13.5% gains year over year for new home prices in Guangzhou. Beijing prices also climbing more than 10%, 10.3%. Shanghai saw 8.5% gains year over year. These were the biggest jumps on a yearly basis since we had that change in methodology back in January of 2011. One good sign for policymakers may be if you look into the month-over-month price gains. They did show signs of slowing momentum. The increase in prices month-over-month slowed in 40 out of those 70 cities compared with 25 in March. So some might read into that perhaps some of these property curbs are indeed starting to bite. Still, CBRE's China CEO Chris Brook, he says the fact remains that underlying demand is so strong that it is very hard to control prices. Many of the property curbs have been on the demand side, such as raising down payment requirements and interest rates for second mortgages, Susan. Also, of course, ordering stricter enforcement of this 20% capital gains tax on sales. But what Brooke is saying, Susan, that needs to be done, their government needs to work on the supply side, making sure there's enough land and develop the private rental and affordable housing markets here, and looking at something like an occupation tax to impose on holding empty property to really kind of nail down speculators that hold on to many properties with no real penalty.